Well, Donald Trump has not only won the US presidency, he's also achieved his long-held goal of being named Time magazine's Person of the Year for 2016. Time editors select the person who's had the most influence on the news and the world over the last year, as Anne Barker reports.
Love him or hate him, you can't deny Donald Trump's impact on the US and the world. In recognition of that, Time magazine has named him its Person of the Year, ahead of a short list of contenders including Russian President Vladimir Putin, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, Britain's populist right leader Nigel Farage and Hillary Clinton. Time magazine's assistant managing editor is Ben Goldberger.
For 90 years, Time has named the person who's had the greatest effect on the world and the news, for good or for ill. This year, I think it is unquestionable that that is Donald Trump. Now, the debate over whether that's for good or ill is far, far less clear.
Indeed, the magazine's foreign editor, Brian Walsh, makes clear the decision is far from an endorsement. Alongside the photo of Donald Trump, Time's front cover reads, President of the Divided States of America.
And this person has split the country. About half the country thinks his election is a great thing. They welcome it. Half the country is not just against him, but they're really frightened, I think. And so we tried to represent that in the story, and I don't really think it's meant in any way to be an endorsement of his views or of Donald Trump himself.
In its announcement, Time said it was hard to measure the scale of Trump's disruption, but described his victory as a long overdue rebuke to an entrenched and arrogant governing class. Assistant Managing Editor Ben Goldberger.
The reason we chose President-elect Trump is because not only is he now the leader-in-waiting of the free world, which is an inherently powerful position, one could make a very strong argument that every year that person deserves consideration, but it's also the manner in which he did it, which is essentially exploding virtually every traditional path to the presidency, upending American norms of civility and discourse, and reordering the entire political process, and anticipating a much larger shift in the global political order as well.
Endorsement or not, Donald Trump describes the decision as a very great honour.
Well, it's a very humbling experience, I can tell you, as somebody that loves this country. It's a very large country, but it's also a even more powerful country than the numbers, because if you look at China and India, and you have others with more people, but when you look at what we do in this country, it's the most incredible place on earth.
Only last year, Trump ripped into Time magazine for not naming him then, saying in a tweet, I told you Time magazine would never pick me as Person of the Year despite being the big favourite. They picked the person who is ruining Germany. It's not the first time either that Trump has been on Time's front cover. He's featured 8 times this year alone, with headlines that have been far from complimentary, one reading Meltdown, another naming him as a bully and a demagogue. Trump is now in an elite group of past presidents, world leaders, tyrants, and even the computer, who've been named Person of the Year since 1927. Among them have been Mahatma Gandhi, the Queen, the Apollo 8 astronauts, and Hitler. It's also the second time Donald Trump has defeated Hillary Clinton, who was Time's runner-up for the title.
Anne Barker reporting.